Hello, Merry Marvelites, and welcome to today's episode of Marvel Movie Talk. I need you to put down your chicken livers and crackers because we've got a lot of stuff to unpack today, as they say in showbiz. Red Wing's dead. Agent Farter is still missing in action. And I had to fire Christian from his own show because of all of his bad predictions about the Black Widow movie. Welcome back, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Glad to be back.
How you missed me last week.
I miss you guys as well. Not only did I not see the show, but I miss you guys. So I was like, I need to be back to talk about the show.
And Eric, I kind of missed you. How are you?
I only missed you 7 days worth, not 14. We are doing well over here. It's my rediscovery of an old favorite of mine, the original old school Falcon figure from, I think it was the Secret Wars set. But yes, and Jeff, we were hoping to do a live cast with you at the bachelor party for this episode, but maybe next time, maybe during the wedding in the Dominican Republic, we'll do that.
Exactly. I'll be tuning in live from there.
Well, I am super glad you brought your Falcon figure today, Eric, because we're going to get to some of that in a little bit. But let's start off with what I've been calling for about 6 months now, Black Widow dropping on Disney Plus, and not just at that little mark in the Infinity War. Like, she's really dropping this time. Like, we're really actually going to see the film. Any thoughts? Are you guys surprised, or
I'm not really surprised. I kind of felt like when I saw the dates, how they kind of had a big spacing in between Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals. There was like a couple months open there. I kind of figured they had this one last move, this one last option. But with that said, now that it's in, I believe July 9th, yeah. I am fully vaccinated, but like by then I will be very willing to go into the movie theater and see Black Widow all in IMAX because I've been waiting for it. It's been 2 years now. Might as well.
What about you, Eric? Are you going to go see it in the movies? Or are you going to be a sucker and go see it on Disney Plus? Or
I'm going to be a sucker either way. I mean, like that's the default setting regardless. Okay. I might. So it's either do I spend $30 to watch it at home, or do I spend $30 on a hazmat suit so that I feel like even though by then, knock on wood, assuming I get my second shot next week, I'll be vaccinated. But this might be enough to get me out there. And when I hear IMAX, I'm like, that's tempting. But also the drive-in in City of Industry is tempting because also in City of Industry it means you can crystal meth aplenty. So you can go enjoy a new Marvel movie and knock out your own teeth with assorted liquids.
Well, I bet those Yelena Belovas are going to be huge on the IMAX screen. I mean, also I think it's a big thing we should talk about this price. We saw it with Mulan. Yeah. I felt it was off. I didn't feel like that price was right. I mean, maybe you start a lottery pool, like a Disney Plus pool, and get all of your friends to give $1, and then you have a big party and just you all get COVID and you watch Black Widow really cheap. I personally am just going to wait till it drops on Disney Plus, like without the premiere access. I can wait. I hate going to a movie theater. I hate getting COVID. The drive-ins, you can barely see anything. I've waited for this movie so long. I'm going to wait till it's free with my membership.
The Disney Plus like some extra money, it just seems so ridiculous to me.
Disney Plus Premiere. They should call it Disney Plus Plus.
Like really, like I'm not going to pay a premiere price to go see it from my own house. Yeah. I don't even pay $30 to see it in IMAX. That is a ridiculous amount of money. Like when I saw that, I was like, "There's not a chance," especially that I'm vaccinated, that I'm gonna be sitting in my house and paying $30. If I wasn't vaccinated, I would 100% be waiting till it was free because there's nope, not doing it.
Where the $30 works though is like my situation, like having the two boys, myself, my wife Lauren.
You're gonna spend that anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'll spend that on just the the popcorn and the soda. Like,
right.
So the math begins to and the dog. The math begins to make a bit more sense, but I guess it's also
like, don't forget me. You need to have it at the house so I can watch.
Well, and also, Michael, honestly, if I spend it, y'all are getting my password too, so you guys will be able to partake of the bounty, and
I'll send you $1 if I can be.
I'll charge you a nominal fee. Nominal.
Okay. Maybe we can work something out.
And then I'll change my password 5 seconds later, before you take over my soul.
I'm sure Christian, rest in peace. I'm sure he will try to convince me to go see it in a drive-in. But I don't know. I feel like New Mutants about this movie. I could wait as long.
But New Mutants, we never had a good Fox X-Men. Like we knew New Mutants was going to be kind of lower tier. All Marvel movies now are like good quality movies. So like even if it's 2 years later, it's still going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen New Mutants, I realize, and I realize my life has been okay.
Well, I'll tell you guys a little secret. I still have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home. So I've got something really exciting when they drop that on Disney Plus. A side note, I think it's worth mentioning just because I love to be catty. Marvel is moving their comic distribution to Penguin Random House, who distributes a lot of DC stuff. It's probably one of the biggest publishers in the country. Do you think that it makes sense for them to go to the big guys?
I didn't see it, and maybe you could enlighten me on this, Michael. I didn't see a downside. Like in what you Michael, by the way, a very thorough host. He sent us reading material, talking points. Now I've seen a few minutes of The Masked Singer, which I never saw before. So I feel
quiet till the end.
Okay, well I'm not going to reveal anything. Don't worry, no spoilers. Even when the mask came off, I'm like, wait, who's that? Oh yeah. But I don't see it. Is there a downside with the Random House? Was it Penguin Random House now? Because all these publishing houses have had to merge to one basically massive conglomerate. So, I mean, in reading it, I didn't necessarily see a downside, and I just like the idea that they're still respecting comic books and physical.
Well, you got to, or you're not going to be able to make movies.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I mean, they could just go digital, but they're still trying to find ways to more efficiently get the actual paper out there, which I thought it seemed like a right move. But is there a downside to it? I'm missing.
I'll get to what I think the downside of it. Do you have any sort of opinion on it, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, mine would just be the same as Eric's, asking if there would be a downside, because I don't know too much about the different distributors when it comes to comics. So yeah, I would definitely rely on you on that one.
For me, I'm thinking, okay, Disney owns Marvel, Disney, ESPN, like Star Wars, these huge, just like the biggest of the big. Why don't they start their own distribution company and chain, and then distribute other people's books and just make even more money? For me, I feel like why are you going to another middleman? You're so much bigger than DC. You could do this yourself and turn it into this whole.
That makes sense.
It's the whole thing. I don't know. I personally am just like, why are you doing this? Why don't you just do it yourself? I know that's a lot of money. That's a lot of setup. But living here in Memphis, I see, how things are distributed, and you can do it, and they've got the money. They could.
Yeah, Disney already has a publishing line. I mean, so that's already that's been part of Disney for years. But yeah, I guess it's also too. It's just
why aren't we seeing it like Disney? Why aren't we seeing like Disney publishing?
Well, we have it, yeah, right? Or at least, why isn't Disney publishing?
Yeah, why aren't they
more into the distribution, the actual physical distribution end of the things? Which, I don't know if Disney wants to start swimming into Amazon's pool or not.
Well, I don't know. I just think that the future's changing so much, especially with COVID. Everyone's got to find a way to do something to like bring up the industry, make money. They've used variants, I feel like, a lot lately to drive comic book sales for diehard fans like me, who really will just buy a comic book for the cover. Like, I might not ever even read it. But
because, by the way, I did buy the special issue of Hawkeye featuring Christian Blatt's, young Chris Blatt's a letter to the editor, which my 10-year-old, by the way, mocked, which was hysterical.
What did your 10-year-old think?
He's like, why would one person write so much without getting paid?
He's so true.
I think that right there is Christian's biggest like question in life. Like, why do I do these things that I do for free? I don't know.
Love. But he does it for love. He does it for all you guys.
Yes, he's very passionate. Another Disney thing to bring up: the Disney Store has just released photos of the new Captain America action figure starring our man Sam. As you guys can see, I was wondering what he was going to look like on the show. Now we know he's going to have his wings. I love this figure. You guys got any thoughts? I know you're a big figure person like me, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks awesome. I mean, that's definitely one I'd buy for me, and then tell my kids don't even think of going near it. Maybe I'd buy a second one to throw to them as chum, but then this one would be here in my wing of the house, my wing of this tiny little house in Burbank.
I mean, when I first thought, I couldn't help but think of like Jeff flying back from Florida. It just like that figure looks like you, Jeff.
Air Jeff. That would have been nice. It would have been great. I love the look of the figure. I can't wait to see it in the show. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be so cool.
And the articulation, it's got a lot of articulation points, and I really like that they made it one of those premium figures instead of one of those little $6 figures you get at the store.
I wonder how they're gonna like incorporate him getting a new suit for that. Like, who are they gonna bring in? Like, who made the suit or something? Because they bring up that he like has Stark tech and everything, but Tony Stark's not around. I wonder if they're gonna incorporate someone actually making the suit for him.
Well, me thinks that's probably why Rhodey's there. Our good friend Terrence Howard. And another thing that was leaked, not official, not anything that Disney has commented on, but a ton of Phase 4 toys have been leaked. Actually, a lot of just pictures of what Marvel wants the toy designers to be inspired by when they make these figures. I'm going to pull them up right now for you guys. It's really hard to see on the screen, but we've got a Doctor Strange. We've got a what's his name? Gosh, I forget. Do you remember? I forget his name. We got America Chavez, which has been leaked that she's going to be in Doctor Strange 2, which I find is kind of odd, but I'm totally here for it. We've got a Scarlet Witch, and on the end, I don't know who the guy in the middle is next to America Chavez. But
that's the main villain from the not the main villain from the first one, but the villain from the first one.
Okay,
like he like turns bad. I can't think of his name either.
Too many sorcerers.
Tilda Swinton made it, just her face, it's like so hard to concentrate on anyone else in that movie. She's like really the only person I remember in that movie. And next to Scarlet Witch, we've got what some people are debating whether it's Clea, Doctor Strange's love interest, or Agatha Harkness, which I think would be a far cry since this character has white hair, and we've seen that Agatha in our universe does not have the white hair. She's not quite that old. And in the second line, we've got a whole thing from the Hawkeye line of action figures. There's more things than action figures. They've got plushes, keychains that these pictures are inspired or set to inspire. We've got in the middle, I guess probably our first look at Haley Steinfeld as Hawkeye. And if you'll notice on these new actors, they've blurred out all their faces. You can find a bigger picture of this on Reddit. Next, we've got, Yelena. That's not quite as exciting for us. But at the bottom, we have got some Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, the young Captain Marvel, in her suit, in her regular everyday clothes, in her cosplay Captain America suit, and her tricked out teenage backpack. What are you guys thinking? Do you think this is indicative of the outfits we're going to get from Miss Marvel? I can't imagine the Hawkeye costume being far off, but do you think they're really going to be this literal with Miss Marvel?
Yeah, from the teasers that they showed in the I think it was Investors Day back in December, it even gave us a little bit of like those two looks for the Halloween Captain Marvel look, and then her like generic Miss Marvel look. I think it'll be more like the comics. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm excited to see how close they get it to it, but like those art renditions, those concepts look dope to me.
Personally, I really, really love when they find a way to make the suit work in real life and not change it too much. That was probably my first big problem with the X-Men franchise, which was a super big bummer for me because it came out on my birthday when I turned 15 years old, and I was so disappointed.
It still traumatized you. I for another episode, I will defend a number of the X-Men films. Which I saw a couple of y'all in the chat would take my side on this one, but I don't want to go back to Michael's early scars, rather his later ones. Hey, listen, as long as this guy's going to be popping up everywhere and I can do this for Halloween, I'm off.
Are you going to be MODOK for Halloween?
Are you
MODOK every Halloween?
I'm MODOK every fucking day. All right. This is actually what I used to look like as a kid. I had a very large head. That's been the same size since I was like 5. So if you look at me in preschool, this is basically me. But as far as the costumes, the Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel ones, I mean, who knows what's real, what's not. Those are with the flame hair, whatever you call it. Like, I'm that's something I'm always worried about is how's that going to translate? Because I completely agree, Michael. Like, I love when they pull off a costume. And even Captain America's one that with every movie, I thought they nailed it better. It made it less goofy. And I kind of love that, and we'll get there.
I like when the costumes progress and look a little more, like, I'd rather have it look more kind of like crappy and like what's in the comics, the first movie, and then see it kind of get more modernized, kind of better as it goes along. And I feel like we did see that with Captain America. Not that he ever had a bad suit. Even in the 90s film, I thought that was a great suit. Fit him like a glove. I'm pretty excited for these figures. I don't know that I'll buy any of those. I probably will get my hands on that Captain America, though. That is pretty sweet.
Cut to Michael buying every one of them at the one last Toys R Us on midnight.
2 bags.
I did just buy like a $70.
For my niece.
Yeah, I bought like the $70 Blackbird Jet Expanse X-Men with Transformers, and the Blackbird turns into this giant like Cyclops robot, and it's the best $70 I've ever spent. I highly recommend it if any of you guys out there are questioning it.
This is one of my favorite from the Marvel Universe, from Captain Marvel.
Oh, the kitty cat. Yeah.
The cat that gave oh boy his scar. Is that the same cat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had a real problem with the name. I hate recasting, even with cats. I thought the cat should have been named Chewie. I mean, that was the name of her cat in the comic book. They owned Star Wars. I think that deal was probably actually done before, or the script was probably had been done written, or maybe done filming before they had bought and taken over all the Star Wars stuff. But I don't know.
They could have ADR'd it. I mean, right? You could have snuck that in at the last second.
I just was like, why change the name? That cat was so great, especially with the Nick Fury backstory. But what you're all here for to talk about, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Episode 2, The Star-Spangled Man. We finally got a real look at the U.S. agent, the new Captain America. A lot of names in the comics. First impressions of John Walker.
They tried to make him like humanized. They tried to make us like him. They tried to make him innocent, insecure in a way. And then by the end of the episode, they're like, watch out, MFer, because if you're in my way, you're gonna get beat up. It's like who really is he? We don't really know.
Get the hell out of my way.
And it's like, dog, you were just insecure. Now you're telling Falcon and the Winter Soldier to get out of your way. Who are you? So it's really interesting to see with that much of a swing in the first episode and us first seeing him. I can only see this growing and him getting even more of a problem.
Well, I think Kim Egan agrees with you. She don't know about John Walker either. I've kind of been feeling like even just from the second I saw him, he's going to be working the press, doing like the whole like celeb superhero type of thing. And I thought the first scene was really funny. I was like, am I watching Friday Night Lights? And then all of a sudden, it's like we got Beyonce Homecoming going on. Like they've marched into like Friday Night Lights. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And then he's coming out for Good Morning America at night with not even the host of Good Morning America, the host of The View, Sarah Haynes. I guess Robin Roberts was too busy because, she does shoot Good Morning America in the morning. She was probably asleep that night when they were filming Good Morning Tonight in America.
I think Sarah had like a Good Morning show when this was taping, but now she's
Sarah's on The View. But it's like, what? Why didn't they get someone from Good Morning America? George Stephanopoulos, him and Kelly Ripa are like too busy.
It's the future. It's the future. This isn't 2021.
Today's Show, Al Roker.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, no, but also you're not going to grab NBC, right?
True. I'm sorry. Let me this is like the second time already.
Al Roker shows up in this. He better be there by episode 5 or I'm out.
You're like, good morning today, America. So we got what we've been wanting. We finally got Bucky and Sam on screen. And I think we all knew Bucky was going to be really pissed about the shield. And he had pretty much the same reaction I thought he would. And it really just like grabbed me when Sam says, you're not going to come here with your overextended life and tell me about my rights. That I thought was like such a good line, but I felt like they kind of missed a moment like after that. I'm wondering, is Marvel missing teaching moments in regards to race relations? Like I said last week, Disney likes to pretend like everything's good and everything's great and everyone gets along. And, Marvel is notorious for, spotting out injustices and racism, bigotry, all that kind of stuff. Do you guys think maybe they're working their way up to it, like a slow burn? I felt like several points in this episode, I felt like they missed points. Like with the cops, with Isaiah Bradley. I felt like there were a lot of teaching moments, and they didn't have to be long. It could have just been like a sentence, a response. I feel like it fell a little flat when it could have been a little bigger.
Well, yeah, we talked about this last week, Jeff, so I'm really curious like what your thoughts were too on the first episode on this, because I thought this episode kind of swam closer to where I feel like I hope it does go. So I thought one thing I don't know if you watched last week, Jeff, while you were bachelor partying in a safe part of Florida. Believe it or not, there is such a thing. But in the first episode, I thought they went so broad with like that scene at the bank, that a moment that really, and a number of you guys in the comments were saying this, like, this is a very real issue. But the guy in the bank was such a freaking cartoon. it lost its impact. This, I agree, Michael. I think it maybe needed to let those moments marinate a little bit more. I'm really interested to see what they do with Isaiah Bradley. I was thinking, even like when he talks about he had the serum, and then the idea of experimentation on soldiers. I was even thinking back to if you guys ever read about like the Tuskegee incident. It made me think about all these important moments of history. So I agree, Michael. I don't think it's there yet, but I'm really curious, Jeff. Your thoughts on the first one too.
So like I knew that this was going to be I read that this was potentially a topic that they would discuss in the show, and I hoped it was. In the first episode, I kind of thought it was more of a slow burn, and for like me as a Black person, yes, if I see what's like the first episode, I can kind of tell the inklings. But like in general, it was very broad, like you guys said. The banker was like too bubbly, kind of threw it off, kind of didn't know who he was, focused on that too much. And then for the second episode, they went all in, but like it also didn't really connect. Like when like when they were first talking about the 100 years and you can't tell me what my rights are, and then when he goes into talking about Isaiah Bradley, and then the cops happen, they're just different events that they don't connect, and that's why I feel like they don't hit, because it was so many things happening in this show. There's so many popping in, popping out. If you're gonna have an underlying storyline, underlying theme, those events have to connect in some way or some form. And like the cop situation, it was another, oh, you don't know who this is. And then as soon as you do, I mean, like, I get it, because that's what celebrity NBA players, celebrities nowadays say in general. It doesn't matter who I am. It doesn't matter how big of a celebrity I am. If a cop doesn't know that, I'm just another Black person that can get shot on the street. That's what they showed in that show. But it didn't hit as well because there was so many pops and so many different stories and examples at the same time.
As soon as he said that, the first place, when Sam, said that about, that Bucky couldn't tell him what to do, the first thought in my head was thinking, wow, Bucky's really old. Bucky was around when racism wasn't a word that people even acknowledged, because that was just the way the world was.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to see in this show, I mean, as short as it is, I do want to see maybe some flashbacks of him seeing the world through his eyes, in that time period, see how he reacts, if maybe he was just like everyone else and has slowly come around to the way we are in the world today with our generation for the most part, or if he was always just a good guy like Cap. Yeah. I mean, it seems like all we hear about anymore is racism, and be it Asian Americans, Black Lives Matter, there's so much of that going on. And I just wonder, being that like Marvel is so kind of like on the pulse of what's going on when they write their movies and their comics, why this didn't like deepen a little bit, because this is kind of maybe like a weird way to put it, but I was reading this story, how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Archewell rep wrote this long essay talking about how all white people have internalized racism. Well, I would think if anyone had any internalized racism, it would be someone born in 1913, right? So I just feel like, to make it more realistic, I want to see, being that this is a Black-white buddy show, I want to see a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I agree with you, and I kind of hope that they show some Isaiah Bradley versus Sebastian Stan, our Winter Soldier, like some throwbacks or flashbacks.
Well, they hate each other.
In the same vein as that we saw Agatha, her backstory, like when we saw those in New Salem times. Why can't we go back and show some flashbacks in this? I think that would give us a lot more information on him, on the first Black Captain America. Like, it would give us so much backstory that we need, and then also feed into this the theme that that they're doing for the show.
Yeah, see, I mean, honestly, they won't do it this way because they only have 6 episodes, right? But if this was a longer show, you literally could have an entire episode about Isaiah. You know,
absolutely.
First season of Ozark, its best episode was a flashback episode, I thought.
Legion did pretty well with taking you totally out of a story and giving you a new one and jumping back the next week.
But yeah, I think it's also too, and this, you know, I'm sure we'll get into like the chemistry between Bucky and Falcon, but I kind of thought like in some ways this still felt sort of like the first one, like it's a pilot still trying to kind of find its right tone. That's what's always interesting when you look at pilots of traditional shows. Like they don't quite have their formula in a lot of cases yet. Like there's some great pilots, but a lot of our favorite shows, the pilot was not the best episode. And in some ways, I feel like these first 2 episodes, I feel it's still like the puppy trying to learn how to use its big feet. And it's just trying to figure it out because even the chemistry felt a little funky to me in this episode. Although I laughed and I felt some moments, but I felt like it had great moments of chemistry and moments that were just a little slightly off. So I maybe it course corrects, but they don't have much room. they don't have much runway. Sorry.
Something really great that Daniel Drew brought up that correlates with what you were talking about, the Tuskegee syphilis study. The Bradley storyline was crafted from that. And I think that that's really, if they don't touch on that, I feel like that's going to be a totally missed opportunity. We have, you know, they talk so much about now, a lot of the Black community is fearful of COVID, especially like the older generations, because you know, you never would think your government would do that to you, but we know that it happened. I think if they're going to use Isaiah Bradley in the right way, they've really got to expand on morality and race more in this, because one of the comments down here was pretty good. I can't find it now, but it was talking about how like the cornerstone. Oh, here it is.
Oh, the comments.
Here we go. Marvel has brought some serious issues to the forefront, which is good because one of the cornerstones is morality. I have not seen that yet so much, being that like Sam blew up that ship, and I haven't seen a ton of morality yet, but I think we're probably getting there.
I feel like that's more on like Bucky's side. He needs to learn like good and bad morals and like being an actual human now and not like being under someone else's control. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of explosions and killing in the first 2 episodes.
Oh my god.
For Disney Plus, which is just wild, but like I love it.
Well, we got a lot of new characters this episode. I feel like, well, all we've really got it compared to is WandaVision, and we got about all the characters you get in the entire season of WandaVision that are new dropped into this season. We've got Battlestar, we've got U.S. Agent, we've got Flag Smasher, and what I'm really interested to talk about is when Sam called Bucky White Panther. I don't know, there's not been a lot in the comic books about the White Panther, but the White Panther was somehow like a ship crashed in Wakanda, and there was this little white child, and this man and woman found it, and the man wanted to kill it because he was scared of it, and the woman wanted to keep it. So T'Chaka takes the child and makes him his son and names him Hunter, and he eventually goes by the code name of White Panther. You can see here is a shot in the comic books.
I want to say it's White Wolf.
Character.
That's what they're saying in the comments.
His nickname was White Wolf.
Well, we're talking about. We're getting there. We're talking about kind of 2 different people. So Sam calls Bucky White Panther, and then Bucky responds more like White Wolf, which we know is what all the kids call him in Wakanda when he was recovering and Shuri was working on his arm. Let's get to another picture of the White Panther. They're two totally separate people, obviously. One guy's white. So
that mustache, though.
But
I want everyone in Marvel to have a mustache.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. What they're making they're making new Captain Americas, they're making new Captain Marvels, they're making new Hawkeyes, they're making all these new characters. Do we think we're going to see a White Panther? Because I kind of thought we might, and I'm starting to think, well, it kind of goes with another conspiracy theory. I'm thinking, U.S. Agent and Battlestar have got what Captain America and Bucky had. Maybe it's not going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's going to be Captain America and the White Panther. No?
I think Disney will get a ton of shit for that.
They love him in Wakanda.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. There's like one white person living in Wakanda. Do you think there's no room for it? Is this just lost on me? Is this just like the wrong way to be going? Do we not think that there could be?
I'm not gonna bet for it, but I would just let me say I would just be surprised if they went with a White Panther.
I don't think White Panther's gonna replace Chadwick
Boseman. No. I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I think it's more like just a nod towards the thing because they mentioned it in like I forgot what other movie, what is it, Endgame or whatever teaser when he was there, and they mentioned it this time. I don't think that he has White Wolf or White Panther has a big enough backstory to really implement that in what they're doing now, and especially with the things that they're doing in Black Panther with like the changes because of Chadwick dying.
That's I wondered if maybe it was set up for something. I would think maybe now it might be harder to do.
I'm pretty sure they shot most of this like way before COVID and before Chadwick died. So I wouldn't even. I don't think so. I'd be surprised if he's even in Black Panther 2, to be honest.
Oh,
I think it should be Scarlett Johansson, though, if they do White Panther, because Scarlett Johansson, right, has been the official white replacement for many different.
She's the go-to white woman.
The go-to whitewash is Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, I don't want to take anything away from how powerful and visually stunning and just great that movie is and what it did. Giving like an actual Black superhero their own major movie. But I don't know, just seeing that together, I could really get into that, seeing like a team. I don't know. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Sebastian Stan. I feel like he's either going to be gone after this, or this was kind of what I was thinking it was going after this episode.
But if we could go back one step, because I apologize, I forget who in the chat brought this up. But one thing is interesting, the comic books of Marvel, one of the things that was really revolutionary about it was it dealt with issues like race and class. And somehow in the translation to the MCU, that has been sort of left behind. And that was a huge part of Marvel. That was what really made Marvel in a lot of ways. It's what made Stan Lee such a wonderful sort of storyteller, like a Gene Roddenberry on that end. Like he kind of looked at these superheroes as the prism in which we could look through ourselves. So I feel like, this show, if any show is going to do it, it's going to be this show. I'm really curious with these last 4 episodes if they'll just maybe hit it a little bit. I don't know if it's like less on the nose or more on the nose, or just make it feel, Jeff, like we were saying with like theme, like it's got to sort of be the emotional spine throughout many scenes, not like, and now we have the cop episode. And now we have this episode, but rather something that it is part of the whole storytelling.
I mean, when I as soon as they walked out and I heard the cops make that noise, I was like, all right, I could fast forward the next 30, 45 seconds. I know exactly how this is going. Like, it was almost like, what is the generic scene that we can use to talk about Black people and the cops? All right, I got it. I don't know.
I think maybe I phrased that wrong. Do we think maybe Bucky will take up a new mantle as White Wolf in the same kind of vein as White Panther? Or do you think he's going to go back to Wakanda? Because I kind of see Bucky like being so overwhelmed and sick of the U.S. and all this crap that he just goes back to Wakanda and like protects them because Chadwick's dead.
It wouldn't be far-fetched that he goes back there to like find some type of peace, because like he even said it when he was with the therapist. He was like, in my whole time of living, I was in war, peace for a little bit, and then war again. It's like I could see that being his reasoning, but like I can't see Marvel using him as like the savior since Black Panther passes away in the future and stuff. But I definitely see what you're saying about him taking a new mantle.
Because Shuri and him have a really good relationship.
Exactly.
I fully believe she's going to be the next Black Panther, and I could see them working as buddies and getting along.
100%. And I'm like, and for him, I think his motivation would just be for peace to go there. You know what I'm saying? Like for him mentally, like I can't be around all these people. They just know me as a Winter Soldier. Let me go to Wakanda.
We'll see how. I was saying, I felt like such a dolt. This was the first time I really noticed the arm was Wakanda technology, and I'm sure, and I know it probably looked like that in the last bunch of movies too. But I really was taken by that for some reason in this episode. Like I was just like really admiring the design of it. Maybe when I was
it looks like a Shuri original.
It
looks like a Shuri original.
I really enjoyed watching Bucky fight, like, and just him literally running up to the buses, him just jumping on there, him jumping out of the plane using his arm.
Great.
I was like, we got to see like how durable, how strong he actually is, because we see him fight against Cap, and like we know Captain America's strong, but it just looks like two people fighting. You know what I'm saying? When you see a person jump out of a plane without a parachute and just like feel a little bit of pain and then get back up, like you start to realize, okay, he's different. That's what I love this. And then him just like sprinting up to a 18-wheeler and then just jumping on there. I just love those scenes.
Yeah, and it was a great parallel to like Captain America jumping out, except you're right, like Captain America, when he jumps, he lands and it's either in water or like he finds a way to do it and he lands smooth.
Or with that shield.
Yeah, right, with the pose. Bucky lands flat on his ass, and then and I did really enjoy that joke of, oh yeah, I got that filmed if you want to see it. Like that was a great punch for that. Yeah, no, and I think to his character, he is a lot less perfect than Steve Rogers, and I love that they're leaning into that, even in the use of his powers and strength. Like he just, I mean, they both. One thing that's cool about this, they both seem so vulnerable.
Cammy Egan says that she sees Bucky going back to Wakanda, especially if he gets brainwashed by Zemo again. We're kind of all expecting him to say those magic words, aren't we?
I'm so over him being brainwashed. How is he ever going to grow if he keeps going backwards?
Wakanda forever. He needs to go to Wakanda forever.
Just stay there. You heard it once. Stay there forever.
Yeah. We finally got our first like big villain fight with the Flag Smasher, and I don't know if it's just me, but dude look like a lady. Right?
Yeah, sing more. I want to hear more of you singing.
I like
the hostage. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the hostage.
Yeah. So from what I understood, I just thought Flag Smasher was just like the whole team. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
right.
But like, she's definitely the leader of Flag Smashers, and I love that they like, oh no, she's just the innocent little girl, and she plays into it, and she just smiles and kicks his ass out the car, out of the 18-wheeler. It was amazing. I love that.
Has the same name as the villain, Flag Smasher. You probably don't know a ton about him because it's kind of like a Cold War. Like, I hate the Soviets is like his whole thing, and now he just hates the Blippies, or she hates the Blippies is what I'm calling them. But in the comic books, her name, Carly. I think I'm gonna mess this all kind of up. Like Carly Morgenthau is Carl Morgenthau is the actual Flag Smasher. So it seems like they've taken this character and kind of like expanded it, make him a woman and given her a bunch of lackeys. And it's just like the all-encompassing one world, one people.
Mm-hmm. And
what did we think about that fight scene?
Well, I love the fight scene, and I've started to think if they're maybe not the real villains, because like if they're worried about
anybody stealing vaccines these days, you're a villain.
Yeah, but you know who you could also be is like one of those vigilantes that are trying to do good things, but in a weird way. So it might
think
be
that about those old ladies, those ladies dressed up like old ladies.
Robin Hood, they're Robin Hood, basically, right?
Getting the vaccine.
Yeah, I mean they got called Robin Hood in there.
Yeah.
So like, I wonder that, and then we also didn't talk about like who's the power broker and like what is that role, and because they're stealing from him. So like he could be the big bad or working with somebody. So it's interesting, but I thought the fight scene was dope.
Well, yeah. I'm really glad you mentioned the power broker. I didn't have that in my notes anywhere, but I'm thinking the U.S. agent, that when he was saying, I don't have anything, I'm just smart and I have guts and I'm tough. I'm like, oh, I think he's going to be meeting up with the power broker soon because he ain't going to be Cap Long if that's all he's got.
I very much want to hear you do that imitation all day long. Except, do you have a banjo there that you use in a straw hat?
Girl, I have a harmonica.
Next time, please.
But you say, Jeff, you like that fighting scene. I thought that it looked real janky, like especially when Falcon's like flying. It looks like video game footage, and like when Flags. Smasher jumped up and it was like they were like trying to do this Matrix slow down thing, but it just looked like it kind of skipped. Is it just me, or did they spend way too much money on the opening scene of the first episode?
Well,
I just didn't find it to be as smooth. I thought the air fight in WandaVision with Agatha, I thought that looked kind of off. Like we'd never seen like a Marvel air fight like that, so I guess we didn't really have anything to compare it to. But some of the special effects, I'm like, ooh, wow! Like when when U.S. Agent threw the shield down and caught Battlestar, that was really slick. It was seamless. It looked really good. But like the running and the jumping and the flying, it just looked. I mean,
it's kind of like the practical stunts. I think played better and. Which oftentimes happens regardless of budget or director behind the camera. But, it's funny. I realized, too, as you're saying this, Michael, I watched it on a smaller screen than usual. So I'm curious now tonight when I watch it, with the kids and on our, bigger TV, that I might all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm seeing it. But I lean more towards with Jeff, where I actually thought it was pretty exciting. And I did kind of like it remember, what was that video game? Was it Bad Dudes? Where you literally had a punch, like a fight scene on top of a moving truck. So,
oh my God.
Bad Dudes.
I feel like there have been so many running from tractor trailer truck, like 90s games. I wouldn't even know where to start. Ninja Turtles, Sunset Riders. Sorry, go on.
Now that you mentioned like the Wanda fight with Agatha, I also thought, I was like, there were some moments I was like, this is interesting. Like the graphic, I'm like the graphics.
You're just nicer than me. I'm like, this looks cheap.
But then I was like, okay,
no one can be nicer than you.
We are watching TV. We're not in the IMAX. Like this is not a movie,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like they could have just like not had movie quality on that, and this might be the same situation where like there's some scenes like, oh, okay, that was lacking in like some either choreography.
I'm watching it on a big screen, you guys, like 75 inches.
No, I agree with you. I think it was just the fact that maybe they're just not spending as much money as like they do in some of the movies where the choreography and the graphics are amazing, because I think that might be something we might notice throughout the series or the different shows.
It reminded me a little bit of that first scene in the Avengers in the forest, in the snow. Do you remember that fight scene in Avengers 2? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst CGI special effects I've ever seen in like any Marvel movie ever.
And they use it in the trailer too. So they're like, this is what we're doing.
It looks like Iron Man action figures. Like we're flying around. Like it all just looks so bizarre. Like I get they were trying to make it look big and epic, but I just don't know the technology was there for that vision that they had. Oh, see what I did there? Vision? Never mind. You missed it, Eric. All right. So we've already talked about it a little bit, but we got to meet the Black Cap, Isaiah Bradley, which I know a lot of our viewers probably aren't super familiar with him because he's not in the comics a ton. It was really even hard for me to find a great picture of him because he's just really not in the comics that much. He's like 4 times bigger than Steve. Even on screen, the actor who played him looked like he could probably beat up. God, what's that guy that's only in those movies playing Captain America? That's like the only thing he does. Chris Evans. Right.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Right.
You know, the guy with the thing.
He looked big, and the fact that he was in prison for 20, 30 years in isolation, where his body's dwindling and everything, and like he still looks big and like demeaning and everything. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they dive into that, because he's like, I was imprisoned and everything. It's like, tell us more, because we need to know. Sam needs to know. That's important to him taking on the mantle and everything, learning the history before you can take on the future and everything. So I'm excited for that for sure.
And we already talked a little bit about what we kind of see next, being stopped by the cops. And it's like, oh, wacky, Freaky Friday. It's actually you're getting arrested instead of you. Sorry, can I take a selfie? I mostly enjoyed out of all of that, getting Lorraine Bracco going all Edie Falco on Sam and being like, no, you're coming in this appointment too. And like, we're doing some soul gazing with Freaky Magoo. And like, is it just me, or is there a lot of sexual tension between Bucky and Sam?
Bucky and Sam?
Well, A, it might be you. But B, there is that was the thing. It's like that chemistry is interesting, and I mentioned earlier,
it's
like,
all in the eyes.
I'm still trying to get a sense, like it feels like they're switching lanes a lot, which I know is part of the buddy cop formula. One of you guys in the chat mentioned like Lethal Weapon, which is a great model for this. I am their relationship is
it's a little homoerotic to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it.
Now, but if, my God, if episode 4 they get it on, dude.
Oh, I mean, like when they're like knee to knee, I'm just like, you guys. You guys. That's like all I could. That was all I could think of. I was like, you guys.
We're gonna say that until Carter comes, and then we're gonna say it's really gonna be Bucky and what is it, Sharon? They're gonna be
Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter. So once they come, it's really gonna be her. But no, I think it's because it's just like this weird dynamic, because they're both best friends of Chris Evans, and like they're not best friends of each other, and like they're trying to play off each other. And like Sam's role is, he's like, I'm gonna just mess with you because you're just a Stone Age guy. Like literally, he's just old. So I think it's more of that dynamic, and like watching them in their like the actors in their interviews, they have that dynamic with each other in real life. Like it's just like, I'm gonna just poke you and see which one kind of breaks first type of dynamic.
Yeah, I've seen them in interviews together, and they seem like they get along pretty well.
Yeah, that moment of them walking through the countryside was my favorite in this movie, in this episode. In terms of it really just felt like they just kind of let them do their thing. I don't know how much was improv, if any, but that part really felt like they were nailing it. But then they take like 2 steps backwards when all of a sudden they're with the Bracco Falco hybrid creature. That is who's
I
great,
looked up her name.
Yeah, she's in everything. I really dig her. I'm glad she was one of those.
Maybe one day we'll know her name.
Yeah, well, no, we got her name. It's Bracco Falco. But she's great, and actually, it's a role that could have been really contrived. But I'm actually totally buying her.
Well, I think we're gonna see Nurse Jackie again.
Mm-hmm. That she's in the military, like she's involved, so she's gonna be around.
Yeah,
I would love to have her more.
So the episode basically ends with Flag Smashers giving one of their own over to get out of town before the power broker comes and snatches all their stuff. And then we get the end scene with him just sitting in jail and saying those words over and over in his head, just waiting for Bucky. Waiting for Bucky.
Did it look like a school to you guys when they showed that? Or like, it did not just throw off like prison to me. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a weird hallway. Like, why are the doors closed? And I was like, oh, so it's like a jail cell. Oh, okay. It was like, it just seemed like nice and everything. Maybe I've seen too many like prison TV shows on ABC.
Maybe all the Atlanta jail sets were taken, so they just called, the high schools like, "Hey guys,
Exactly.
really."
No one was having school. Why not? Probably got a price cut.
We're gonna change out these doors, just make the walls bare. It'll work.
And that pretty much like wrapped up our episode. But I as soon as it ended, I was like watching those credits like a hawk because it really annoyed me that they put Sebastian Stan's name first. And we talked about this last week. That it's called Falcon and Winter Soldier, not Winter Soldier and Falcon. And I said they better flip flop those names every episode, or that they're gonna get called on that. And they did.
Wow.
And I thought about it, and I was like, well, shouldn't you maybe, since it's called Falcon and Winter Soldier, maybe given Anthony Mackie top billing the first episode? Or did you give Sebastian Stan top billing the first episode because he's been in Marvel movies longer? What's the etiquette on that? Like the name or the time? Like,
was Wanda and Vision? Did their names interchange? Because
I don't think so. I think she was the star every time.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just. I never really thought because Falcon and.
Have you ever seen that in a show before?
Have
you ever seen that in a show before when there are two leads and they flip them back and forth each week?
I've never noticed it, to be honest.
It's a newer thing.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. But like even with like the name, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I honestly don't think they chose that name because Falcon was a bigger name than the Winter Soldier. I think it was because it
sounded better.
Well, it sounded better, honestly. Because you're not gonna say the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, like it just doesn't.
Roll off the tongue like that.
I think with like the interchanging of names is literally they're both the top billing, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's our way of showing it, like a new age way, like you were mentioning.
Well, and to throw you all back to the 70s, Marlon Brando got top billing in the first Superman. And why? Because he had
the exactly. Yeah, like why is Perry getting? Why is he getting top bill? Wait, was he Perry White or was he Lex? I forget.
Oh no, Marlon Brando was Jor-El.
Oh,
he was in it for like 5 minutes, and he's eating half the time, I think. So,
or Drew Barrymore, Starscream. There we go.
Okay. Well, that was
well. The one other thing I wanted to mention about the credits that's got me a little worried. We didn't see the actor who plays Battlestar's name in the main credits, so I'm kind of wondering if he's not gonna make it. If he's not, maybe he might get taken out. You gotta lose someone in these TV shows to have some real stakes.
Yeah,
it might be the driving factor to make the new Captain America want to be stronger and stuff to see his homie die. But yeah,
I hope they change his. I want them then to change his name to Battle Scar. That's all.
If he's going by Battlestar, why does it say Hoskins on him? Why does he put Battlestar or put a big star? I don't. It's like.
I love the idea of giving yourself a superhero name when you have no powers and no costume.
That's when Bucky was like, you know what, your last name is Haskins. Just go by Haskins. We're getting out of this car. He's like, your battle who? Okay, I'm out.
Yeah, they couldn't take that seriously, could they?
Sir, you have no powers. You're not even flying. Battle yourself out of here. Like no.
Well, I've been really shocked we haven't gotten a post-credit scene yet. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Are y'all just waiting for the very last episode?
That is very true because like Wanda only did post-credit scenes
a few.
like real life. So like we did multiple. This one we're all.
They even did it in the first one, didn't they? Yeah, they had Darcy looking at the computer screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they even had it. I thought at least in the first episode we'd get something to kind of like.
I don't think that was post credit. I think Darcy
first
looking was the last image of that episode.
It was just outside of the hex. That's what he's saying. Yeah, it was outside. But either way, yeah,
too much to keep up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten any of those yet. Last thing that I have on my list that I wanted to mention, if you guys have been watching Fox, you see the new Phoenix has been revealed. None other than Caitlyn Jenner. What do you guys think?
You know what?
I'm serious, Eric.
It was better than the Dark Phoenix movie.
By the way, if you guys have not seen this performance, it's about a minute and a half of your life. You're never going to want it back. You're going to if you ever thought you wanted to hear Caitlyn Jenner sing TikTok by Kesha, well, that is the exact video for you. What would you think if they made Caitlyn Jenner Jean Grey in the new X-Men franchise?
That would be the first day I try heroin.
Yeah. I would be right next in line.
At the drive-in and City of Industry, right next door, I think there's a guy.
Look, I hear whippets are much more in right now.
If it was in theater, I think it would be cool because, like, watching that video, all the graphics, all the lighting, that was cool. The costume, even I'm being nice, it was cool. It looks like it looks like a peacock kind of, but just all red. Either way, it's a Masked Singer. That's what they all look like.
I mean, I will say
it was a cool reaction.
That does look more like Jean Grey than Sophie Turner any day, in my opinion.
I expected her to join up with 4 other robots to create one massive Phoenix, but maybe that's next episode.
Well, speaking of next episode, we're out of time today, you guys. Next episode, I think I'm probably going to hire Christian back. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking a nice way to welcome him back might be to read his other letter to the editor in Marvel Tales number 212. I've been warned it is the lesser known of the 2 letters to the editor he was written.
Of the Black series.
Not as well received. I considered reading it today, but I know he has some grievances and actually some lifelong regrets about a couple things he wrote. So we're going to let him sit in on that next week. But until then, where can everyone find you, Jeff?
You guys can follow me at Jeff Will Jr. on all your social media platforms. Sorry. You had me laughing. Talking about this show, all superhero shows. Continue the conversation there.
You gotta and tell everybody about your shield behind you. Just for
if you guys
never got to drop that sweet little nugget on us.
Very true. Very true.
Oh, that didn't sound right.
I built right here. There we go. I built a Captain America shield for BuzzFeed. There's a full video on the BuzzFeed YouTube, but also just find at Jeff Will Jr. on all your social media platforms, and I linked it there as well. Put a reel, and it's a DIY. As you can see, there's a little bit of marks there.
It's really good. It's like shiny.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. We hit it with an axe. We did it with a sledgehammer and with a metal bat. So it stood the test of all those times. So it's like. I think it's Captain America approved. It's definitely Jeff approved.
Well, when I come to town, I'm pulling my handgun out and I'm going to go Peggy Carter on it.
I've already offered to give Jeff a ride, and he's going to jump out of my car, put the shield under him. That's the real.
Let's go.
See if you can do a Battlestar roll. Eric, do the damn thing.
Do the damn thing, Count. Eric Connor, not officially a count yet, but working towards it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I might even be on MySpace. I don't even know anymore. Facebook, you might want to use my middle name, Adam. And the documentary I produce, Other Voices, is still hanging out on darkroom.film for all your virtual screening needs to make you feel, I don't know, maybe more hopeful for the universe and saddened by it as well, if you need that. And myself and the Falcon will be back. I'm very excited that he is back in my life. He was just in the bottom of a box waiting for me.
And if you get done watching Eric's movie and you're just real sad, you can watch a brand new episode of the Black Cast that was released on Tuesday here on this channel with interviews with 2 people who worked on the set of WandaVision. I have not seen that episode yet, but I'm going to be watching it tonight with my whiskey sour. So all you guys, be sure to check that out. Follow us. If you didn't know, I'm Christian Blatt. Just kidding. I'm Michael Shirley. And you can find me on Twitter at Michael X Shirley and on Instagram at I Hate Michael Shirley. Be sure to go out, buy up all the number 1s of all your favorites that are coming out before the shows come out. Those prices are skyrocketing. I hope everyone out there is staying safe, and you guys will be back here next week to talk about a whole new episode 3. But until then, Excelsior.